Spirit Sports Consultants presents our weekly NFL picks.
Week 16 in the NFL, mid-December, always a great time, great games. We're seeing a lot of division races heating up. Many of the divisions have already been locked up. Look at teams like Kansas City, Buffalo, it's already on. So for this video, we want to talk about obviously our Week 16 game picks, look at some Week 15 top plays, playoff picture, AFC, NFC, what are the current seeds, and then give you our weekly Super Bowl pick. It's going to probably change week to week. This is a different pick than what we had last week. So here we go with the games. Texans at the Chiefs. As many of you know, two of us here are Texans fans. We try to be neutral when we pick the Texans. And looking at the Texans, we see that they might be getting a little bit better as they head towards the playoffs. It's definitely been an underwhelming season. I mean, a lot of high expectations, getting Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon coming off the great season last year by C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud has not played as well as he did last year. Stephon Diggs got hurt, had a lot of injuries there. The offensive line's really been a problem. So for those factors and a couple of others, we like the Chiefs winning this one again in a narrow way like they've done all year. Looking at the yards per play statistics and other stats, they favor the Texans. We just can't go against the Chiefs machine. Again, December game outdoors doesn't benefit an indoor team. Titans at the Colts in a tough AFC South divisional matchup. These teams always play each other really close regardless of home field. And you want to look at some interesting statistics. If you look at the Titans' pass defense, they're in the top 5. We're not sure if that's just because people are already ahead. They don't have to pass against them. Not sure. But we think it'll be a lower scoring game here. We think the Colts, however, have more talent on the offensive side of the ball. We think if they look at those stats and the game plan is developed accordingly, the Colts should run more, have Richardson run the ball more, and just focus on the ground, not the air. They should be able to win here in a low-scoring game, 21-17. Bucks at the Cowboys, and we think the NFC South is going to be the most interesting division race as it comes down to the wire. Of course, this is week 16, so you have 16, 17, and 18. Just 3 more games left. We think the Bucks are the better team. The Falcons have the easier schedule. So this is one of those games because of that. The Bucks cannot lose this one. We think they'll take care of business here at Dallas, run all over the Cowboys 28-17, because Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield know they've got to keep winning, keep ahead of the Falcons, who own the tiebreaker because the Falcons won both head-to-head matchups earlier this season. And now it's time for our question of the week. Hit us up in the comments with your answer. We're going to look at throwbacks this week and ask the question, which NFL team has the coolest throwback sets? We grew up as a fan of the Houston Oilers, so a little bit of bias there. I also thought the Bucks creamsicle, those are always fun when you see them wearing that. And then the Patriots, the AFL logo, and then with the red jerseys, kind of cool. And then we think the early expansion silver and old school Seattle Seahawks logo is pretty sharp as well. So hit us up in the comments with your answer. It doesn't have to be one of these 4, just whatever team you think has the best throwbacks. And before we continue, if you would, just join our channel, and if you like this video or find it useful, like it and then subscribe. We provide weekly NFL picks, highlights, and sports travel. Thank you. A few top plays from Week 15. Got to start with that Lions and Bills potential Super Bowl preview. Jared Goff and the Lions not enough as Josh Allen played out of his mind yet again. Looking great. We hope that is a Super Bowl matchup. And then Derek Stingley Jr. taking this ball away from Tyreek to seal the victory over the Fins. And then, of course, Baker and Mike Evans magic out in L.A. Great game. The Niners at the Fins here in South Florida. We looked at this game preseason. It was one of the ones we circled and made sure we had our tickets early, thinking this would be like not a playoff preview, but a matchup of 2 playoff teams. Well, neither team's going to make the playoffs this season. Not sure if the Dolphins have been mathematically eliminated. We believe so. The 49ers definitely have. And this game is really going to depend on who shows up, what's the motivation. It's kind of like a college bowl game with a bunch of the players sitting out. Don't know what to expect, but we do think here, having home field, South Florida, not going to be much of a weather edge. It's going to be 70s, perfect Bay Area type weather. We think the Dolphins will take it here in a close one. Eagles at the Commanders. This is the first of 2 division rivalry revenge games. In this one, the NFC East, both the Eagles and Commanders, they played earlier this year on Thursday Night Football. Early on in the season, everybody was on the Commanders bandwagon, including us. We saw the Eagles as the more viable threat in the NFC East. They've turned the tables. Now they're in first place. We wonder here, could it flip back? We think Jaden Daniels is now fully healthy. We're going to go pick the Eagles in this one, 28-24. We think it's going to be razor thin, really close. Any line beyond that, we might even take a 4-point line on the Commanders to cover. We think it's going to be closer than people think. The Commanders are coming back, getting ready for the playoffs, so watch out for the line movement. Giants at the Falcons. Remember, everyone in the NFL draft was second-guessing, hating on the Falcons for drafting Michael Penix Jr. in the first round after they just signed Kirk Cousins. Well, that doesn't look so stupid now, does it? In fact, we recommend that they at least start Penix for a game or two. Maybe he's not ready. We're not sure what the developmental plan is. Give Cousins a bit of a break. He has been horrible. Sorry, man. Been horrible this past month. We think they will bounce back against a Giants team that really can't score. I think it'll be a low-scoring affair. The Falcons' pass defense is actually really good, but it's just that offense. If they can just avoid the turnovers, if I were coaching it, I'd have them run the ball and definitely consider a temporary quarterback change to give Cousins a little break. Saints at the Packers, and it's just been one of those years for the Saints. We think this game could have really been competitive. We were actually looking forward to it. They played an 18-17 game last season, and losing that game is actually what cost the Saints the NFC South title. It was early game, week 3 or week 4, but still, all the games count, right? They lost on a tiebreaker. When we look at the Packers, however, when they are healthy, we believe they're one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the league. You know, they're right there with the Lions, all those guys. We think in this one, with the Saints having a backup quarterback, the Packers should have no issue here, 27-17. We're curious how they're going to do with playoff positioning. Clearly, the NFC North title is out of their reach. But if they can position themselves for a good wild card, we think this team could definitely make a deep run, especially if they get Jair Alexander back and they stay healthy. Now let's look at the updated AFC playoff picture. The Chiefs at the 1 seed. Bills had an opportunity to catch them, but did not. They're at the 2. Steelers at 3. We like the Texans at 4. Should be able to run away with that AFC South. The Ravens, Chargers, and Broncos round out the wild cards. We don't see much of an opportunity for this to change. It's fairly locked up. The Colts could catch up to the Broncos, but we see that as very doubtful. Patriots at the Bills. Bills finally back home after 2 tough road games at the LA Rams and then at Detroit, winning the game that we think is the Super Bowl preview. We'll see if that is actually our Super Bowl prediction here later in the video. But for this game, this is a normal spot you might expect a trap. We just don't think Sean McDermott, Josh Allen's going to allow that to happen. He's pushing for potential MVP. And also the Bills know not to let up. You want to get that optimal playoff positioning. You don't want to mess it up by losing a game you should win. So we think they'll take care of business here at home, 35-17 over the division rival Patriots. Vikings and the Seahawks, we're having to update this one after the Sunday night game as Geno Smith suffered a knee injury. Not sure the severity. We'll have to check on that and make sure we follow the injury status as the week goes on. We're going to proceed with the assumption that he likely will not play in this game, so we'll adjust as the week progresses, so watch that. We think the Vikings are going to be playing for that NFC North. We're not going to let up here. We thought they might, had they not been just actually tied with the Lions. We think they're going to play well here and win it 27-17 over the Seahawks. Rams at the Jets as the Rams have to go cross-country for a back-to-back road game. And when we look at these two teams right now, definitely the sexier pick is going to be the LA Rams with that offense, Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and that Puka Nacua is just crazy. It seems like he can catch everything. He did his David Tyree impression, if you notice that, against the 49ers, catching the ball on the helmet like that. Really crazy. And you look at the Jets, obviously disappointing year. Aaron Rodgers, poor performance, got Devontae Adams still hasn't helped anything, but we're going to take the ugly team here. We think a team on a back-to-back road game. We also look at the 49ers game. A little bit of luck for the Rams there, a little bit of luck against the Bills as well. Block punt. Can't say that's luck, but that's not going to happen that often, a special teams touchdown. We think it flips here. Go to the Jets, who've been underachieving all year. And now let's take a quick look at the NFC playoff picture. Have the Lions stay at 1, Eagles at 2, the Bucs move up to 3, the Rams take over the NFC West lead. They're now in the 4th spot. The Vikings stay at 5, the Packers at 6, the Commanders at 7. Curious to see what happens. Not sure about the tiebreaker rules with the Vikings and Lions. We're recording this before the Monday night game, so if the Vikings win, they'll tie the Lions. We'll have to check out, see how that works. Jaguars at the Raiders in the battle of the backup quarterbacks, and also a battle of two teams that are trying to get the best draft position they can get. We see the Raiders in the top 3. Jaguars are going to be in the top 10. Not sure how they'll finish the course. Still have this week and then 2 more weeks to go. But we think if all things being equal, if they were playing full strength and trying to win, we'd like the Raiders here. But we think you have to be realistic. If we're the Raiders, we would not be coaching this one to win. Not to say that teams tank, but teams tank. So in this one, we think the Jaguars will take it 24-17. Notice we left the coloring in silver and black because we think the Raiders should win this one, but we think the Jaguars will because of the reality of draft positioning. Lions at the Bears in a rematch of that interesting Thanksgiving Day game that cost Matt Eberflus his job. The opportunity to tie it or go ahead, somehow they lost track of time, didn't use that final timeout lost the game. But really it goes deeper than that, as the Bears proved in their follow-up game at San Francisco. It's not just about the coaching. They've got a lot of issues they need to sort out. But in this game, let's not forget the fact that the Bears did play the Lions very closely. Now it's going to be in Chicago. On paper, the Lions should blow the Bears out by like 10-14. We think it's going to be a little closer than that just because there's some potential weather there. You've got wind. Of course, it could be cold weather. That's not good for an indoor team. We do think the Lions ultimately win. We think it's going to be closer. If you see a double-digit line, consider taking the Bears to cover that. We like the Lions here 21-14. Broncos at the Chargers, AFC West divisional matchup. Two teams that should be in the playoffs. The AFC seems to have been kind of finalized here. Not too much drama in the final weeks, unlike the NFC, which is far more interesting. But when we look at these two teams, the Chargers won the initial matchup in Denver. We think the Broncos have gotten a little bit better. I think Bo Nix has been playing at a really good level, definitely not playing like a rookie. We look at the Broncos here for the upset. We look at the Chargers. The defenses are about even, but we think the Broncos' offense is a little bit better despite Justin Herbert having more experience. We think the Broncos take it 21-17. Browns at the Bengals in the second of their two divisional matchups this season. Bengals took the first one at Cleveland by 7. We think this game could be equally close. We like the way that Jameis has been playing. Definitely an improvement over Deshaun. Question to Browns fans, what did the Browns do with Deshaun next season? Is he back? They trade him? We like the Bengals here 24-21. We think it's that close. We do like the way that Joey B's been playing. Obviously a frustrating year for both these teams. We thought they were both going to be challenging for the playoffs. Not so much. Bengals here 24-21 over the Browns. Cardinals at the Panthers, two teams that have burnt us when we picked them. Our worst pick of the week last week, week 15, was the Panthers over the Cowboys. Not sure what we were thinking when we thought at home the Panthers would be able to put up a show. And we thought that they were improving. A couple games they played, they had close losses. Similar with the Cardinals, had about a stretch of 3 games that were just absolutely terrible. 2 of those losses to the Seahawks. We think they're the better of the bad teams here. We think Bryce Young has maybe reverted to his early season and last season form. Kyler Murray had a better game this past game. He did struggle on the road. Curious to see what he can do on the road here at Charlotte. But we do think ultimately the Cardinals are the better team. We like them here 21-14 over the Panthers. And now for our weekly Super Bowl prediction, we're going to go with the Buffalo Bills, who have looked great the past couple of weeks. If Mahomes has any degree of injury, that might make the AFC path a little easier. And then the NFC, we think ultimately the Lions are still going to be there. But based on this week, and if the playoffs started this week, we think the Eagles would be the stronger team, the tougher out. We think the pass defense makes the difference. And one of our preferred matchups for this week, Steelers at the Ravens. Rematch of an earlier game. The Steelers came out on top. Really weird game. If you go back and watch that game, the Ravens played one of their poorest games probably in the past 2 to 3 seasons, almost like the AFC Championship game where they could not do anything right. 2 key missed field goals from Justin Tucker, very makeable field goals. 2-point conversion at the end. It was, we think, a very terrible play call, and then a couple of other fluke turnovers. We think the Ravens bounce back from this one. We think these teams are even. We like the Ravens to bounce back and then move towards the AFC North title. We think they're going to take the Steelers here 28-21.
That's all for this time. Thank you for joining. Please subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to sharing our future videos with you.